Thank you. All right, everyone, welcome to the maiden voyage of the Polkadot Guild, ChainSafe's Polkadot Guild. So I'm going to share this link for everyone to start. And this is a type form that allows you to walk through this process of claiming your, it's not a POP necessarily, it's a Kusama NFT, but it's as similar as a POAP as we could find. And it's ChainSafe's custom design. So walk through there and make sure to use your account of the Kusama relay chain. So again, there's a link in chat. Use your Kusama relay chain account in order to claim this NFT for attendance. So sweet. My name is Jon Roethke. I, along with a few others here, represent ChainSafe's Polkadot Guild. This is our first Polkadot Guild gathering, so we're kind of in the process of learning, and we'll adjust accordingly based on how this goes. We may find that Twitter Spaces is a more like appropriate medium for something like this. So we'll see. But yeah, based on feedback and things like that, if what people are looking for. So I'll just give a basic intro. This presentation, this whole inaugural meeting is very, very informal. That's really what we're trying to do here, is keep things as informal as possible. And we didn't want to be like every other presentation form or presentation specific like meeting type. We wanted to keep things more open dialogue. Like I said, very informal. So a little bit about ChainSafe. We're a research and development firm. We were founded in 2017. We have primarily been tasked with working to improve like existing infrastructure on some of the most prominent networks. So this includes like Ethereum, Filecoin, Mina, and of course, Polkadot. So we actually gave a talk on ChainSafe guilds within our annual conference, CSCon, and Hank was one of the speakers actually there. So it's nice to see him in attendance here. And what we can do together going forward is going to be pretty exciting. This talk can be found on our YouTube channel, and it was also turned into a blog post that I will share at the end of this meeting we have. It's kind of like a leave behind. We'll message everyone. But the TLDR is that the Polkadot Guild is like a place to ask questions, talk about experiences, share knowledge and tools, code, and practice about the Kusama ecosystem. It's also a place to increase awareness and understanding of the Polkadot ecosystem by way of like informal conversation and connection, kind of like what we started doing at the beginning of this, talking about liquid staking, when we think it might come live. What we are not is a place to discuss basically when moon. If at all like possible, we'd like to stay away from those kind of conversations. From the ChainSafe side, most of us are developers who have an interest in the Kusama ecosystem and what it can bring to the world. Some of us are on the protocol side. Some of us are more on like the services side that plug into these protocols. Like for example, I previously worked on the Chainbridge team at ChainSafe, and that's a modular bridge that supports like mostly EVM environments, bridging between like Coven and Rinkeby and Gurley, and also mainnets, of course, but also substrate-based chains. So like bridging Ethereum into something like Moonbeam or Moonriver. So on the other side of that, though, there are people in attendance here from our side, the ChainSafe team, who are building like on the actual infrastructure of Polkadot, utilizing like the protocol itself and building like alternative Polkadot hosts, for example, in Golang. Jimmy is one of those people, and Dan Forbes, of course, and maybe some others that I'm not seeing yet. But anyway, they're going to be in later iterations of this public guild, kind of demoing like Gossamer, it's called, and how it works, what its value is to the community, and so forth. And really, the TLDR of that is the importance of client diversity in the ecosystem. So there's just a lot of stuff we can talk about within this guild. Obviously, the Kusama ecosystem is huge and it's growing, and the protocol itself is evolving all the time. So even if you work on the protocol itself, it's nice to have other people who are bringing in information. Either it's DeFi or yeah, like bridge tech and things like this, to just constantly stay updated. It's just, I've found it's very difficult to stay up to date yourself. So having other people bring information to you, especially these technical individuals, really helps a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we value openness, friendliness, collaboration, inclusivity, curiosity, and like no pressure environment, low pressure. So feel free to ask questions, things like that. We're all trying to learn together here. Some of the objectives of guilds. ChainSafe started this as an internal push first. Teams between ChainSafe needed to be able to cross collaborate and understand the various protocols that we work on and networks that we support. So a lot of this includes knowledge sharing, as well as like relationship building too. So if you see some of us at like conferences, like someone was speaking about Amsterdam just earlier today, and many of us are going to be there. So Amsterdam is going to be its first iteration of Amsterdam this year. It's actually next week. I can't believe it's already here. Some of us are going to be at DevConnect, Ethereum people as well, like Phil No, and some of the people here will be representing Ethereum. And perhaps in future iterations of guild meetings, we'll also have like kind of head-to-head conversations between Ethereum people and Polkadot people. And that's something we've also been pretty excited about. So yeah, I won't say too much more. I just kind of wanted to provide a general intro, and thank you all for coming. And yeah, like, we're really excited what we can do together. So with that said, I want to open up the floor, of course, to other people, and perhaps it'd be cool to go around, and again, no pressure, but feel free to go around and kind of like introduce yourself and tell us why you're here, what you're looking for in something like this. That would be really beneficial, and what your background is.
Maybe I can start us off with intros. I'm Jimmy. I help manage this guild with Jon. And it's been, Jon already gave a terrific introduction to it. But it's basically like, there's the one side of like knowledge sharing and staying up to date with the Polkadot ecosystem and stuff. But then it's also like, for those that don't know, ChainSafe is a fully remote company. We have people all over the world and everything. And so like, we miss out on that social aspect that you get from being in person. So this has simultaneously been a company initiative to try and like help like people socialize and build up culture and maintain it. And it's been really nice. Like, if I can, like, at least for me, I always enjoy coming to the guild meetings. It's fun to talk with everyone and learn, and it's like beneficial in multiple ways. And so we're hoping that this can be a extension of that to something that's like educational and fun, and just kind of a place to hang out and get to talk and enjoy people. Yeah, that's pretty much me. Yeah, I work on Gossamer, like Jon said, the implementation of the Polkadot host and go. Yeah, I like blockchains in general. Love Polkadot. Love Ethereum too, Phil. It's okay. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. We also have our buddy Tim over here. I'll throw it to Tim.
Oh, okay. What's up, everyone? I'm Tim. I'm also from ChainSafe, and I work in communications. What question am I supposed to be answering here, Jon? Can you just prompt me again?
Oh yeah, just why you're here, what you're looking for, and maybe what your background is.
Or just say hello.
Hello. I help actually run the Ethereum developers meetup. And so I love like organizing and bootstrapping communities. And I just think it's I think there's a lot of potential with Polkadot, and I think like having like casual, informal conversations like this where we can share and learn together is highly beneficial to us individually, but also the ecosystem overall. So really looking forward to how these public guild meetups evolve, because I think, yeah, we have a lot of value to add. And yeah, what else can I say? I'm not sure. Yes, I wanted to say like, yeah, super casual, informal like environments. In my meetups, I usually encourage people to unhide your camera, unmute your microphones, have this be more of a water cooler conversation. So also invite everyone here to do so similarly as well. So hi. Yeah, I'll pass it off over to Redwan.
Oh, okay. It's a full table round. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Well, Redwan, ChainSafe 2 project manager here. I participate to our like internal Polkadot Guild. So I love all the conversation and I think it's a very interesting space. And I'm also like a huge fanboy of Jon and Jimmy. And so that's why I follow them everywhere they go, because I know we're going to have some great conversation. There it is. And I guess I'll pass it on to our very shy, I hope he's not gonna be too like pissed off about this, to Dan Forbes.
I'm here. I don't have too much of a mouthful of food yet. Yeah, my name's Dan. I work on the Gossamer project with Jimmy, and I think I saw Tim is here as well, and Ecclesio.
Ed
hope
was
I, oh,
around too.
Ed,
Oh, yeah, Ed's
yep,
here.
yep.
You got the whole squad.
Got the whole squad. That's right. All the boys. So yeah, I'm a project manager. I've been in the Polkadot space for a couple of years now, and which is crazy that like it's already been that long. But I think we all love Polkadot because there's just like so much to learn and never a dull moment. And even after being in here for 2 years or whatever, I still have a ton to learn and still bang my fingers against the keyboard trying to compile substrate every once in a while. So yeah, looking forward to chatting with everyone. And if we're passing the ball around, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Hank because it seems like everyone else knows who he is, but I don't know who he is.
No, thanks. That's kind of fun. Yeah, so my biggest claim to fame, of course, is having this undergrad student by the name of Jimmy, whom you've kind of run into, and got another student of mine.
That's also not at all his biggest claim to fame.
I got another student, Maxim Venezov, who is an intern with you all. He did that full-time for the summer, and for the academic year, that's part-time. He is finishing up a master's and you know, talking to you all and a bunch of others about what the next big thing is. So I mean, I'll start with what he's doing. He is looking at accelerating zero-knowledge proof generation using modern parallel hardware, and you know, focusing right now on GPUs and memory issues there. And longer term and for big constraint systems, memory becomes a problem. And so for that, we're looking at RDMA because normal secondary storage isn't good enough. But popping things up a level, I mean, obviously an old guy, you can see all the gray, you know, I'm about 3 times Jimmy's age. And regardless of that, so my research career, largely database systems. I've been doing that stuff since the late 70s. Teaching, leading a database group at Bell Labs, textbook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Got into blockchain from the point of view of blockchain's a database, and kind of worked my way in backwards that way. And we've put together a whole pile of stuff at Lehigh since that started. Way back at the beginning of the chat, I put in the link to our website, lists our various courses, of which we have a whole bunch in computer science, but also in business. A bunch of research projects we're working on, a whole bunch of students doing cool projects, some research oriented and some cool capstone projects. Jimmy did one when he was graduating, and none with Polkadot, unfortunately, but we have one with Oracle's Hyperledger group going on. We have another one with Bitcoin in El Salvador, improving that the coffee workers are getting paid a fair wage so they can sell their coffee. And our partner there happens to be the advisor to the president. He's from Allentown, so right next to us here, Aiden's hometown. Just all kinds of fun stuff. And enough said, you can read more on the website. And so what, I get to pick who goes next? Is that the game here? Because I don't know everybody here. So I will pick the name that I think may be hardest to pronounce, Ecclesio.
Hello. Thanks, Hank. nice pronunciation. Yeah, my name is Ecclesio. I'm working on the Gossamer project, and yeah, like Polkadot Guild meeting. I need to assume that I'm not attend to all meetings, but the ones that I have present was like produce some useful conversations around the Polkadot ecosystems. And what I expect of the public is to bring more brains to the table and having more have like more useful stuff as a result of the discussions, you know, and yeah, have like fun times with you all. Yeah. Very shiny introduction about me, and I'll pass to my project friend Timothy. Tim.
Why'd you pick me? Yeah, my name's Tim. I'm team lead on Gossamer. So I see Jimmy, Dan, Ecclesio, Ed pretty much every day. I'm pretty much just constantly reading substrate code and Gossamer code and trying to feel my way around. So I'm always more like heads down in the actual protocol and trying to figure out what's going on. So it's nice to like, you know, jump into the Polkadot Guild and see what's going on. Let's see what people are actually doing, building on top of it, the current state of things, because I don't really have a lot of time to follow everything as well. So I hold a big bag of Ethereum, so I'm mostly into like DeFi space of that. So, but curious to see how things shake out for Polkadot, and I guess with XCMP coming, I think that's probably going to unlock a bunch of stuff for the Polkadot ecosystem, actually allowing the realization of, you know, that layer 0 chain to facilitate message passing across all these other kind of app specific chains. I think that is the next wave. I'm probably more bullish on it now than I was before. Just so that we don't have to navigate this dark forest of EVM chains for the foreseeable future. And yeah, having the foundation of everything built on JavaScript is just very scary to me. So yeah, I'll pass it to Ed.
Hey, so I guess we're going to do all the Gossamer people first. So I'm also on the Gossamer team, and I'm here largely for the similar reasons that Tim is, mostly down in the code and don't keep that much awareness of what's going on in the community with Gossamer or with Polkadot and that sort of stuff. We have some awareness, but I think this is probably the best way to spread information and to make connections. So that's the main reason I'm here. I'm going to pass it over to Phil now.
Thanks, Ed. Hey, everyone. Phil Ngo here. I am basically a recent lurker of this guild and just using it as a way to take ideas and propose EIPs with them. No, I'm kidding. I'm here actually to learn a lot more about Polkadot because it'll help with my debates. We have a thing going here, but honestly, it's great to actually like learn about stuff outside the Ethereum ecosystem because too many people working on Ethereum and on JavaScript leads to a very scary world. We need diversity. So I'll pass it over to Cindy.
Oh, hey guys. I'm Cindy. I design at ChainSafe. We got NFTs for everyone here in this room today. So make sure you drop your Kusama address into the type form. Yeah, because I'm batch sending it. Okay, cool. So I'm here because I lurk. And I'm also interested in Polkadot governance. I think that the public referenda stuff is very cool. I'm a distributed systems fan. So yeah, so I'm here. I'll pass it to Andrew.
Thanks, Cindy. Hey everybody, so I'm Andrew. I am working in QA at ChainSafe. I work on our decentralized file storage application, which is called Files. That's actually utilizing Filecoin, not Polkadot, but Polkadot is something I'm really interested in learning more about. So I love being part of the guilds to share knowledge and also tap into the awesome knowledge of everybody else in the group. So it's great that we're opening up to the rest of the community. I'm finding that I am looking at a lot of Polkadot and Kusama news every day, and I still miss things myself and get together with the group and find things out. So hopefully with the expansion of the group, that gets even better. So yeah, interested in learning more together with everybody. And I'm not sure who's gone, to be honest. Does anybody want to volunteer?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, if Barack, Kamal, Neil, you guys want to jump in and give a little bit of bio about yourselves, no pressure if not. But since this is the first meeting, we also thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of get your guys' feedback on what you're looking for in terms of a meetup. Like there is the Polka House. There are definitely other organizations trying something similar to this. I don't know if they have as much like developer background as like some of our people who are working on specifically like something like Gossamer. I mean, I know the Polka House is pretty legit where they bring in like parachain teams to speak, and there are a bunch of Twitter Spaces events happening with like parachain leaders like Derek Yu and Soda Watanabe from A Star. So things like that, like we're just looking for feedback and kind of like, what you would want out of a meetup like this. So it's not just us.
Yeah, hello, it's Kemal. I just wanted to get into blockchain development, so I'm normally doing other stuff as a project manager. That's why I just wanted to join and get as much as information I can. So I can pass it to Burak.
I could go first. I guess I brought, my name's Neil. Not actually working in the blockchain or crypto space. I'm more of an investor. My background's more is in real estate on my professional side, but I've been investing in crypto for about a year and a half now. And Polkadot is one of the main protocols I'm invested in, layer ones. So interested in meeting everybody and learning more about Polkadot and sharing some of my horror stories along the way from investing in crypto.
Yeah, we all have those. You're in a safe place here. But if you don't mind me asking, like what interested you in Polkadot in terms of from an investment standpoint?
Well, I think, like anything, you got to look at the team and who's behind it. I think Gavin would be, the first place, just like if you're going to look at Cardano, with Charles. I think what I've found in investing in several, of these projects, I haven't really met any, of these founders but in a couple of them I have invested in and it went to zero almost, it's kind of like some are actually in it for, the actual mission and in it for the vision of blockchain and what the power of blockchain and what the space can do. And I think some are just in it for the money and in it for the quick cash. And you see a lot of that in the crypto space. I've actually started investing heavily in the gaming space as well, the gaming area. So, but, I think that for Polkadot particularly, being I guess somewhat a layer zero, if you want to call it layer zero, I think just in the power of it, I think one of the drawbacks I do have with Polkadot, I think they can do more on the promotion side and really getting out there and really kind of, I think just a lot of, I think in the deliveries, I think there's, just like something like Algorand, great product, great team, but, you never hear about them. You don't really hear, and unfortunately, I think what drives a lot of these kind of adoptions is really the marketing and really the kind of promotion side. Unfortunately, that's it. Whether it's good or bad. And meme coins is a perfect example. You know what I mean? Look at Doge and the success it had. So, But yeah, I think what first led me to Polkadot was Gavin, and then looking at obviously at the technology and the actual product itself. And like I said, I did get involved in the parachain auction for Acala, and invested in just Polkadot in general, as directly in Polkadot, but haven't looked at many other products within it. And interested to see how Polkadot now develops, and how they deliver on their deliverables, how they execute on the deliverables. That's really what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for sharing. I know there's like some interesting projects that are looking to collateralize real world assets, especially real estate assets, and then, bring them into the crypto space, which I think could be super huge. I mean,
yeah, well, it's already happening actually. There's a company called PROPY.com. They just did their first NFT sale for a condo in Tampa. And they're like, there is several sites where you actually can go sell your property for, Bitcoin or for ETH or something. So, definitely that's already there. And, yeah, I think definitely in terms of NFTs and real estate and store of assets, and even just general investing, that's going to be huge, and it's already happening. So I think that's going to be a big disruption in the whole real estate space. And, that's already well on its way.
Don't you see the problem being though, like custodial access to the real estate? Like, I mean, the titles needing to transfer hands to like almost like an escrow agent.
Yeah, and I believe that happened because I actually looked at selling one of my properties. That's how I got onto Prop, but it was through a brokerage out of California because it's not in Canada. And it was that, yeah, there would be an internal custodial. So you could actually receive cash. You could either receive cash or crypto. So you would sell it for X amount of dollars, and then you can, but the buyer would pay in crypto. So then either the buyer, you can receive direct crypto, or so, yeah, there would be a third party custodial or third party kind of intermediary to kind of facilitate that. And effectively you can then receive your proceeds in crypto, which then would be converted by that third party, custodial, and or you could just receive cash, just cash it out, and whenever there's fees and stuff like that. So definitely, I agree with that. And I guess, obviously the smart contracts, you can do the legal side pretty smoothly, but then it becomes, like you said, transfer of asset, the actual title and transfer of the actual asset. But I guess that's what NFTs are looking to do versus, you actually have that NFT, so it's on the blockchain, and, you actually have that. So that's actually your verifiable title. I haven't looked in it enough to see if that, what the legal repercussions are there, but, I guess that's what they're attempting to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting insight though. I think there's a huge amount of opportunity there as well. So thanks for joining, and thanks for sharing your insight and feedback and background. Yeah. So Phil, if you don't mind me calling on you, would you like to say a few words about yourself? Yeah. Phil Lessig.
Okay, yeah, this is Phil. Hi, yeah, I'm Phil. Yeah, Polkadot Phil. Previously known as Parody Phil. I've been working at Parody for over 4 years, and actually yesterday was my last day. So it's been all good there, but it's time for new adventures. But yeah, I've basically been in Polkadot for over 4 years, working on it behind the scenes, mostly on the communications and side of things, somewhat some marketing. And like, just to touch on what you were just saying about we could do more for marketing and so on. A lot of these teams have their hands tied with regulations and so on. And so when you see other teams, like in other projects, going crazy with marketing and doing all these things, they're really treading a fine line with regulatory bodies, and they're taking risks. And part of the reason I could sleep at night for the last 4 years was knowing that we were, playing by the rules mostly, and not trying to ruffle any feathers. So that's kind of a perspective that a lot of people don't see when you're dealing with something so kind of like in a lot of gray area where there's no clarity on what you can promote, what you can say, who you can sell to, if you can sell it, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I was working mostly with like communications from the beginning, not from the very beginning, but I joined at the beginning of 2018, so shortly after like the announcements about it. And I found it, I've always been a fan of, like I was in Bitcoin in the early days in 2013. And I used to be a Bitcoin maximalist, and then I learned about Ethereum. I actually saw Gavin present about Ethereum at a Bitcoin meetup in Berlin. And I thought that was amazing, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I went to a few hackathons in Berlin. Can't really hack much, but just tried to find out if I could do anything. And yeah, it was still kind of nagging me. One of the big things, because I was really into the debates around like the block size debates, the DAO hack debates, and so on. And then I just came to realize that like governance is like one of the most important parts of these blockchains, because like it's a matter of how you come to terms with agreement and how to upgrade, and if you want to upgrade or not. And that was a really important part of it. And one of the reasons why I still love Polkadot to this day so much and find it vastly superior to many other platforms is just this kind of federalism style, where you have like the layer 0 relay chain that only concerns itself with security and communication, and similar to the previous early American government. And then you have like all the states like parachains doing their own thing, specializing in their own ways, governing themselves, not really being affected by the decisions of other states, and so on. And I found this very, very promising. So that's the main reason I'm really into this, into Polkadot, what got me into it. And the on-chain governance just helps makes things more transparent. There's still a lot to be learned and tested. There's still not been a truly controversial upgrade coming in Polkadot yet. So we'll see how it actually works when something like that happens. But no, it's something I find extremely promising, down to the technology and the leadership. I mean, yeah, like Gavin is still coding like hours a day, all the time. And you can even check his GitHub to see that he's been very, very active still. So it's promising leadership, and people like Rob as well, just like getting to know these people personally. It's only been more exciting since. So like at the beginning, someone said, like I used to know everything about Polkadot and Kusama and so on, but it's just gotten so big, I can't even keep up. And that's why I'm happy to be a part of this guild where, I'm just another one of you guys at this point, because there's so much knowledge out there. I forgot about the other stable coin that was already on Kusama, because there's so many things happening. So it's good to hear that this is happening, and I'm looking forward to being a part of this for a long time.
Thanks, Phil. That was awesome. Yeah, like the on-chain governance, I'm glad you said something about that, because that's been something that, I don't know, when I interface with Ethereum people, I'm not speaking about everybody, but they definitely have opinions on how on-chain governance maybe, shouldn't be the best, or it shouldn't be the solution. I know Vitalik has opinions too, so it's just cool to see. But I'm with you. Like, I think it's cool that they're iterating and they're trying.
It's cool to see that we have an opportunity to see how both sides play out, and there's different cultures developed at this point. So there was a faction of Ethereum that used to be pro on-chain governance, but they kind of got pushed out. Now you see them joining other communities like Polkadot. So now you start to see, off-chain Ethereum found its way of doing things in a way. I think the vision is also more aligned so that the governance is a bit easier at this point. In 2018, 2019, it was very rough still, rough consensus and all that stuff. But I think, it's good to see that each, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polkadot are my top projects still. And they're very, very, very different in their culture. And Bitcoin is like null governance, like null, no decisions brought up or made. Ethereum is very, carefully iterative, very only what's necessary, careful upgrades, on 1.0 and 1x, Ethereum 1x, and Polkadot's a bit more aggressive at this point. We'll see how things change, because things always change, but it's, and we have options. We can have some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some Polkadot, and benefit from all their their advantages.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, kind of at the beginning, I work in the bridge space at ChainSafe, or at least used to, and it just seems like with all the recent like breaches with bridges, and I think people are now just a little bit more inclined to see the Polkadot vision, where there's like bridge interoperability almost like built in natively. I mean, not exactly, but it seems like it's really it's a design first mentality rather than an afterthought, and I think that's just so cool. So hopefully, yeah, with like Tim Wu was saying, when XCMP really does deliver, hopefully it does also deliver that initial promise that I think everybody in the Polkadot ecosystem was like really hoping for. So I'm extremely optimistic and really excited to see the innovations that occur.
I did have a question about that. Like, so we were talking, like they announced that it'll be part of the next like major runtime upgrade, right? But what version of it will, because like, isn't there like V3 is like still being worked on, right? And didn't V2 like just finished getting audited?
Yeah,
You
V2
know,
just
Phil?
finished getting audited. And
So
V3
that
is still in progress, more like end of year kind of progress
okay.
for
So
V3.
which will V1 be included in the runtime? Do you know? Or is it?
I'm not sure. That might just be, I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
I just know that V2 was audited, and I kind of had my sights ahead for like V3. But V2 was just audited and should be implemented soon. But right now it's just been like the horizontal message passing and so on.
Yeah.
I guess following up on that, like someone had asked in the chat, I guess Tim, a controversial on-chain upgrade. Could you provide an idea of what you might think, Phil, like a controversial upgrade might be? Like I was thinking maybe it was having to do with the validator sets, but that's not really an on-chain upgrade. It doesn't seem like, is it?
I wouldn't even
yes.
like phrase it as that. Like my question would be any sort of controversial split, maybe even instead of upgrade, because upgrade generally means there was some consensus that this was going to happen.
There's been nothing close to any controversy causing a split, and like anything can come up. It's hard to really say like what would cause a split at this point, because I think everyone's pretty much aligned, and the vision is like the basics are just being finished, and now we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with parachains. So no Polkadot Classic, no, not yet. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely some room for improvements. That's for sure on the governance side of things, especially. I think that there's, there's definitely room for improvements on how this bicameral governance was set up. Having a council and things like that. I think that's probably unsustainable for the long term, and that could show some issues if it's not fixed quickly. So like if let's say there's an upgrade that heavily favors parity, and a lot of the council members are very close to, if not actually parity people, and they just push it through, like they fast track it, they push it through, and it doesn't really matter what the rest of the token holders think. I think that would definitely cause some controversy, and definitely maybe cause a split if it really affected the other stakeholders of the system.
One thing I've noticed recently that I thought was just the coolest like piece of innovation, and it really isn't anything that extraordinary, like other than, I mean, it's happening on Kusama. So in the singular marketplace on Kusama, the NFT marketplace, for those who are not familiar, I've just seen recently they're dropping NFTs to people who participate in the referendums, which I think is super cool to incentivize participation, because of course all voting participation has been abysmal. Even looking at Ethereum DAO hack, like, I mean, so far that I've seen. So
and the real world, like.
Yeah,
I know, but I have a unpopular opinion about that, and because I don't even participate. I have only voted once, and because I've been paying attention, and the votes have gone exactly the way I want them to go. So I think if we have a controversial issue really come up, I think we're going to see a lot more participation come out of the woodwork, because these stakeholders are going to start to care, like start to shift their weight around. So like I'm an example of that, and I think a lot of other people are as well. Where if they hear, wait, what's going on in the Polkadot community? Somebody's talking shit who normally is just chilling it all the time. You know, like this gets people's attention, and people start to, you know, activate themselves as participants in the system. So that's like my little unpopular opinion about it, where I think it's cool that you should still prepare people for participating when they need to. So get them understanding how to vote and what the impacts they have, what options you have. You can increase the weight of your vote by locking up your tokens for longer. Things like this are really cool to know. So I think having NFTs for all sorts of participatory events is such a cool idea, and it keeps people coming back to the system actually. So that's really cool to hear.
I don't know if like POAP has any plans to expand to Polkadot, but that would probably be something that would be very similar to what you're talking about, huh?
Be cool. I would love to have you know, a POAP on Polkadot, but I think they're very, very committed to Ethereum, to put it lightly.
Fair enough. It's open source. Anybody can do it.
I know, and that's the thing with EVM chains too. I mean, like a Moonbeam could easily implement something like that. Someone do it.
That's a really good
Clone,
point.
exactly.
I guess I have one.
We'll get going.
I have one question, if you don't mind being you know, the guinea pig, Phil, like Phil L. Just because based on your experience and stuff. So there's a referendum currently. It's called number 186 on Kusama, and I'll briefly TLDR for the other people if they're not familiar. But essentially, it's like there is a council member on Kusama that is known as Zug Capital, and I think the idea generally was like there's not been a lot of participation from this individual or group of people, and they also manage a ton of the relayers in the Kusama and Polkadot networks. So like the referendum currently is trying to remove this member, and it doesn't seem to be passing. So I'm thinking to myself, well, is it because this member isn't necessarily bad, but are they not contributing as much as they could be? And so I'm trying to kind of understand which side of the field I should be on myself, because it's centralization, really, when you think about it, just the number of validators that they operate. So I'm just kind of curious, taking a poll here.
So somebody went into their account and saw that they were nominating a lot, and they have a lot of weight as far as the block producers and block authors go.
Yeah, they're running a lot of validator clients.
Okay, that's very interesting. But you shouldn't. I don't think that. I don't know. That's a very interesting.
Well, what does governance
thing.
do to stop that?
I think like if governance could stop that, that would be weird.
Yeah,
like they can stop them being on the council,
right?
But they shouldn't have the power to stop them from validating. And that's very dangerous territory in my opinion, because that's security. You know, like that's the security of the network. It's a very, I don't know. Maybe I haven't thought about this, and the thing is, honestly, I haven't even heard of this yet because I've been kind of busy lately. But yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know. I don't think, just like off the cuff remark would be, I don't think that governance should be able to usurp the game theory dynamics of securing the network.
Yeah, and I don't mean to put you on blast, so I
no,
totally understand
that's a very interesting question, and I think if I'm thinking about this, maybe there's something I'm missing. I just want to put that as a caveat, but no, like I think the validation, that's already its own voting system. You know, validating and nominating, it's already its own sound voting system, and you don't want to usurp that system with something, in my opinion, that's weaker, because the voting system of
And well, you also vote on the council, right? So like, who proposed to remove them? like, was it proposed by the community, which is also simultaneously the community that elected them to be a part of the council, or was it proposed by the council?
Yeah, that's a
I don't
good point.
know. We
There's a
can find out.
there's a
Very
proposal
transparent on the
back.
If only
blockchain.
there was somewhere
Yeah.
to look.
Yeah.
This information was stored somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just on my phone right now, or else I'd be scouring the subscam right now, seeing what's going on.
It's just
I'm
interesting
gonna look
because
into that. It
when-
is interesting.
when you look at like networks like Ethereum consensus, I guess they're not calling it Ethereum 2 anymore, but just the sheer number of validators and the whole push to allow even individuals such as myself to run a validator at home, you know, the push on decentralization there is really awesome. And it's just so hard to debate. I mean, there is no debate in my opinion about this. Ethereum really is so in that respect. I guess the aspect of it that's not secure is the fact that they're all running, or majority of them are running a certain validator client, but that's client diversity conversation, which is perhaps a different.
Which Polkadot is even worse at, is as far as client diversity goes. That's why, you know, ChainSafe is a big has big potential, and with Gossamer. But the thing is with Ethereum, we're assuming that it's more decentralized because it probably is, but also you know, I could spin up 1,000 if I have enough ETH. I could spin up 1,000 validators, and you wouldn't really know it's all. So like, just because you have the number of validators doesn't really make it more decentralized, especially with how easy it is to do such a thing on Ethereum. So yeah, but obviously there's this like hard cap with Polkadot on the number of validators, which is a very different kind of game you're playing as opposed to with Ethereum. So I think they need to continue to decentralize that. And this has always been something that needs to happen and needs to be coming from the community. We've seen, you know, that, you know, when there were limits on the number of nominators and things like this. When you want to talk about that layer zero being really layer zero, you need to move a lot of the stuff off of the relay chain because it's just too backed up. To increase it to, you know, tens of thousands of validators with million nominations, but that can easily happen. And with SCM, you know, it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, very true. I know. I've been kind of lurking on a couple of the referendums myself, and seeing there have been a couple proposals to increase the validator set numbers, and it seems like the incumbents don't necessarily want this to occur because obviously it means fewer block rewards for everyone. And since the validators all share in the block rewards, it's kind of like a all for one kind of a deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit much. I think there needs to be definitely more decentralization. That needs to come from the community. There needs to be a stronger voice from the community to kind of petition for this. And I think that isn't such a big challenge. I think it's possible. It's just we need to have the community be able to have the tools to coordinate a little bit better. I'm not very pessimistic on that. I think it's going to be improved very well. I'm very optimistic on that, actually. It's just it's a bit of a technical. Maybe some of the other people can speak though, but maybe it's more of a technical feasibility thing at this point. And you know, with the networking, sending all these messages around with the nominations and voting, you know, it's just a matter of some technical improvements to make it easier to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can speak just briefly if anybody else wants to share as well. Obviously, welcome. I can speak a little bit about the coordination efforts like that you just touched on. Like, I came from a token curated registry project about 3 years ago or so. We kind of pioneered the TCR idea, and at this company I was at, and one of the assumptions we made was exactly that, was just people would kind of self-organize if it was within their financial best interest. And despite us like trying to put forth like you know, initiatives to help people self-organize, like starting conversations on Reddit and Twitter threads and things like this, you know, it still is just tough to kind of force participation. I think that's the problem with it. I don't know if you can really force it. You have to let people kind of come on their own, but that's another thing. When you need participation, you know, you're not always in the position of waiting or wanting to wait. So it's a tough balance. I think I'm really excited to see what happens from it.
Yeah, and you don't want to overforce participation. So you don't want to even over incentivize participation, because I've read a lot of studies about governance and like voting, like in general, like not non-blockchain stuff. And like an example of this one study, they paid people to vote, and like you get a less informed voting public then. So you get a less informed public making more of the decision making, having more decision making power. And so it's like there's trade-offs to these things. So if you over incentivize people, you know, yeah, they'll learn the process of voting and realize they can get a $20 Amazon gift card for doing it, but they're going to just like pick the first one out of two. So then you have a different kind of game theoretical problem you're dealing with. You know, they're just going to pick the first one and say, yeah, I voted.
We've
So
talked about this
really
before,
tough.
and it's a super
Yeah.
interesting problem.
Yeah, and like I think, you know, having some informed voters taking care of it, but like they need to know that there's people just waiting to come out and you know, take control, because they can. And I think there are a lot of people. As soon as this happens, like we had a coin vote on Ethereum for a controversial issue that will not be named right now, but it was a very controversial issue, and a lot of ETH voted in this. And like this was like a long time ago, and it was people who hated on-chain governance were voting in something with their coins. So it was really, I think, if you stir up enough controversy, that's probably the best incentive. Make something controversial. I'd like to see like some of that happen, honestly, like because it's bound to happen anyway. It's going to be very interesting when it does.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they, just in general, people kind of move away from token weighted voting. That's my like main hope. But also maybe it's the best thing we have right now. Reputation maybe isn't ready yet, or something like that, some other mechanism. So but yeah, I guess I see some people are leaving, so I want to be sensitive to everyone. Thank you all for coming.
Well, here we got a real quick question.
Yeah, you're welcome to stick around.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Then finish your.
No. Please. I just wanted to leave if you need. Otherwise, stick around.
Cool. Yeah, I was asking because Kamal had asked about like learning blockchain development. I can continue this in the chat if you want, but I'll also try and answer here. In terms of where you would start, there it's kind of, and I mean, I'm sure everyone will have different takes on this. But my answer would be it kind of depends on what you want to get from being a blockchain developer. Like, do you want to do smart contract development or like protocol level work? Like smart contracts, I mean, maybe controversial thing to say, but like ETH is where all the smart contract things are happening right now. Like if you want to learn smart contract development, I mean, that doesn't exist on the relay chain of Polkadot. So it's like you'd be learning EVM stuff anyways to like do on a parachain, and that can be transferable. So I would recommend there. And then for specific protocols, I mean, one, it would depend on what programming language you want to work with. If you want to contribute to Gossamer, we're always looking for contributors, but then and like also like I don't know if there's a right answer there. Maybe other people would disagree, but my thought would be, if you want to be a blockchain developer, find a chain that you're particularly interested in, because like it takes time to learn. So find something that you want to and are like willing and excited to like spend the time learning about. And then if there's a specific programming language you want to do, see if that chain has like find a chain that has that language. Like if you're a Rust developer, maybe Substrate is exactly where you want to be, but maybe there's too much going on there or whatever, and you're a Go developer, work on Gossamer, but could also go and work on Geth. Or if you want to do TypeScript, you can go hang out with Phil and work on Lodestar. Yeah, I don't know that there's a right answer, and I do think that a lot of the concepts are transferable. Like each chain definitely has their own, like they're very different, but they also still will do storage in somewhat similar ways. They still have networking. You still have to deal with consensus, and these are kind of things that all the chains have to deal with. So my thought is that if you are comfortable with those concepts in one protocol, it will make it easier to pick up another protocol if you decide to shift around. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that for like someone looking to learn blockchain development?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So like, I was probably in the traditional tech, I call it like Web 2 space for like 15 years. And I just took the dive. I just got tired of doing the exact same things all the time. So I just took a leap and applied to a bunch of different blockchain companies, including ChainSafe. The other was Prismatic Labs, and they passed on me, so I came to ChainSafe, and it's been a great experience. Like instead of working on Prism, I'm working on Gossamer. Kind of dove headfirst into the Polkadot ecosystem, learned what the differences are. So like in terms of, I don't know, getting familiar or trying to figure out a way to get in. Like I know ChainSafe is very receptive to bringing in people from other backgrounds. Like you're not going to be able to be a blockchain expert unless you dive into it. And there are companies that are willing to pay for you to learn these things. So it's been a great experience for me. And I would say like there are parts of the code bases that are very similar to what we would do traditionally, right? Like RPC layers, it's kind of like API development, WebSocket stuff. So like, there's always the place for you to like, we need your expertise based on what you have already done. Like memory management, like trying to solve all these things. And as you kind of go through this, you'll kind of pick up the more complicated stuff with regards to like consensus, block production, and how these things differ from chain to chain. So I would suggest if you're curious and have a thirst to learn, then yeah, just dive into it.
I was just writing my my response in the chat, but I guess I'll say it here as well, like a bit easier. Like I would look towards a community that you most align with. And I've only just started thinking this way because of how I've seen the community with Kusama kind of turn out. And I just think it's the coolest community. Like they have some really interesting innovations, and like the network itself was designed to be an innovation hub, which is like it's supposed to fail, like in some cases, like not fail in the traditional word of like not necessarily work and break when you need it to, but like there are certain things that they're trying that like I don't think people believe it's going to like it's going to work on the first try, I'll say. Like, and I think that's just an interesting mentality, because if you're in the Spark contract world, like we were at this company I was 3 years ago, we had to build our contracts right from the very beginning, which is like such a concept in software development I don't really think exists, like the bugless code from day one. Like, and so it like really threw us for a loop, because we spent
and then now
so
you
long.
have the economic incentive to find flaws in programs. It's like if you can find a bug and exploit it, now you can make a bunch of money from doing it. Nuts.
Yeah. And for our project, like we just spent so long trying to make sure it was perfect that, I mean, I think time has proven, and like history has proven, it benefits those who can iterate quickly and fail fast and like bounce back easily. And so, you know, having a network like Kusama that's like experimental by design, and iteration is kind of like in its like lifeblood, is like a really interesting concept. And the community like endorses this and embodies that, I think, in some of the communities in like Discord and so forth. So that would be my opinion. And then, you know, within Kusama, it's so cool because you can always learn Rust and go into like the protocol development side, or you could just focus on application specific stuff within Moonbeam and Moonriver, where it's like Solidity focused. So I don't know, like, yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Like there's just tons of opportunity with Kusama, and you know, you could always take your learnings back to Ethereum too. So tons of opportunity in general.
Yeah, I heard a software engineer describe smart contract development and compared it to like writing software for satellites, because you have to make sure it works and then it's launched. You know, you can't really update things on the fly. It helped make it make sense to me.
Yeah, that reminds me of like those like not the Hubble telescope, but like the new one that was launched up there. You know, it has to unfold a very specific way. It has to be very, very reliable, and it has to do this because there's no, if you screwed up one part of the code, it's over. Like that's it. There's like 20 billion out the window.
Well, and it's hard to give specific advice about how to enter the space just because I feel like it's probably different for every individual just based off of what your previous experience is and what you're into, what your values are, all of that stuff. Like for me, I came straight to ChainSafe from university. And so I had more of like the theoretical side, maybe. Done a lot of reading on blockchains, but I hadn't touched like any protocol dev is any of my teammates can tell you. And I like didn't know Go. But like I knew like how grandpa worked. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I get that, but let me learn how to program and Go real quick. So it's just like there's different angles, and I'm sure that, and then well, not even, I am absolutely sure that there's people that come at it from different areas and have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's just kind of figuring out what your own are and what you want from the space, and then going after it. Just very basic advice, I suppose, but I think still true. There's no bugs in it.
And you'll probably have a better time, an easier time, if you pick a network with a ton of tooling already. So like Ethereum kind of like is winning by a landslide there. So, but then, you know, you have something like Moonbeam and Moonriver that can just piggyback on all this existing Ethereum tooling. And it's like, plus the innovation of Kusama and Polkadot, like that's kind of interesting. So, you know, different ways of looking at it. But yeah, it's a really good question. We're actually going to be putting a blog series together in the next, like, I don't know, a couple months or so. And even doing talks at Amsterdam on like 2 developers who are working in Web 2 and transitioning into Web 3. So that may be something you want to kind of keep your eye out on. And we'll promote that, of course, too. Like, but easier ways to transition might be helpful for people to get understandings of where to start. And it's a behemoth, like to break down these, figure out which network you want to work on, and yeah.
Wait, can you elaborate on that? Like you or Tim or whoever? I wasn't aware of this series. What is that?
We can't say too much because it's kind of it's not a surprise, but it's, you know,
some ChainSafe alpha leaks going on right now.
No, but I mean, I think that's like the ChainSafe general vision that we've kind of all been pushing for, and it's just been kind of re-highlighted, is like we wish to onboard the next 1 million developers. And how do you do that efficiently? Well, it's much easier if you start with the existing developer ecosystems that work or that exist in Web 2, like these massive pools, and helping those people transition into Web 3, teaching them certain fundamentals or pointing them to like certain educational like resources and things like that. And even series that we put on, like how to utilize our gaming SDK and stuff like this, like to implement Web3 into your Unity game, if that's something of interest. Like there are tons of game developers just sitting on the sidelines, not knowing how to get involved in Web3. It's like now they can, because we've introduced this you know, very state-of-the-art SDK that they can understand because it's in the same languages. And all they have to learn now is just like, you know, the concepts of blockchain, like kind of like Jimmy was talking about, understanding, you know, consensus algorithms. Like, what is that? Like, well, it's much easier to understand those once you have this baseline of like the programming behind you. And, you know, understanding the framework that is Unity. Like, so building on top of those things, I think is going to be really great for people. So that's kind of like the alpha leak TLDR.
I mean, and that's good for the space too, because I mean, at least how I view blockchains, like, yes, it's a bunch of new stuff, but I like so much of it is based off of previous work that existed like way before blockchains were a thing, right? Like previous work in cryptography and distributed systems and economic theory and like all of this stuff. Like distributed consensus has been being studied since at least the 80s, right? So it's like, it's not like the blockchain people just got together and invented all of it. And like there are people all over not working in crypto that have so much knowledge on these topics. And if we can make it easier for them to come and help us out, it's mutually, well, hopefully beneficial for them, but beneficial for us too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'll just say one more thing, just adding on top of that, because I think this is also a really interesting point is like, I think blockchain nowadays is as much about the technology as it is about like the psychology behind it all. I mean, you're trying to incentivize people to participate in certain things. And, you know, some people even suggest that like, if you can program money, you can program incentives. And if you can program incentives, then you can program behavior. And that may be a reach, but, you know, we're kind of like, I think Mike Golden was the one to initially propose that concept. And I don't know, it's interesting. Like there's a lot of psychology here and sociology that, I mean, so we could benefit from sociologists coming in to understand people and how they react to certain situations and things like that. So
oh yeah, because not every problem is a tech problem, right? Like
yeah,
it's painful for me to admit as a developer, but like it's not, we can't build solutions to all the world's problems, but if we can like try and help in any way that we can, like I consider that a win. But tech can only do so much. My hot take, one of many.
Well, we've been at it for about an hour now. And, you know, I just wanted to say thank you again on behalf of everyone from ChainSafe and the Polkadot Guild. We look forward to doing more events like this. Like I said, we'll reach out with kind of like a takeaway and certain like resources and blogs that we've mentioned, you know, within this chat today, and stuff that you can read and stuff that you can look out for, like our upcoming articles and talks at events and things like this. So, but yeah, we're happy to have seen you come out and support us, and we're excited on like what this kind of public guild can introduce to the ecosystem.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming. This has been awesome. I'm stoked for future iterations, and I hope you guys are all there.
Cool. And claim your NFT if you haven't already, like Tim just posted, but you have to use your Kusama address. So hit that up. Cool.
Thanks for putting this together, Jon and Jimmy. Yeah, I love these combos and looking forward to more of these in the future.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, until next time, everybody.
Bye.
Cool. We're out of here. Time to eat.
Thank you.
Hey guys,
Thank you,
thanks.
everybody.
Hopefully we'll meet in person soon.
Yes, absolutely.